Hey there, writers and muse daters. I'm super excited to be here today with one of our members from the writing gym. You've seen her before, and we're really happy to welcome back Jeannie.
I didn't expect to see me back so soon, did you?
No, because we reported, last week?
Yes.
Some really big news about an undisclosed Hollywood opportunity that you got as a result of your work in the writing gym. When it rains, it pours, sometimes in a positive way. First, Jeannie, for those of you who haven't met you before, either in our Facebook group, Write to Publish and Sell Your Novel, or through the Writing Gym podcast, tell us a little bit about who you are as a writer and what you're writing.
I am a script writer who producer challenged me to novelize one of my scripts. He thought it would be good for promotion. Soon discovered that there's a big difference between writing a script and writing a novel. Script is very visual, and a novel you're playing with words. I went to editors, that's what you think, and no one really knew exactly how to help me because there were so many fundamentals I knew. And also, show not tell is a mantra in both, but they mean two totally different things. So I showed not tell. In my novel writing, I was told, or you're telling. And I it's just really hard to understand the differences. I was pointed to you, and I started working with you because you understand the difference between scripts and novels and have already done your own script work. You were able to tell me how my thinking was in line with novel writing and what I needed to do to change the way I looked at it and how to play and manipulate words, which was something that script writing for so many years, you think so visually that you kind of forget how to play with words. That's what brought me to the writing gym. And then you and I worked on novelizing a TV series that I had co-wrote and I had written a Bible for.
So you and I worked on revising that to publishable. And again, for people who are like, what is this writing gym thing? What does that mean to revise to publishable? Pull back the curtain a little bit on the work that we did and what that process was like.
I came in with a manuscript. And so I started it out in the reading period where you take my manuscript and you read it, and then I read novels in my genre, which was kind of one of the best things for me to do because it'd really been a long time since I'd spent so much time reading. There are other people who come in that you start them out and you help them write their manuscript. I'm in with mine already written. Then after you had read it, dissected it, figured out where my strengths and my weaknesses were, then we started working one-on-one together. And we worked all the way through my manuscript. We did some overall work first, and then after we did the overall work for the entire document, we started a line by line, page by page, until we were able to get the document to where it should be and ready for an editor.
Absolutely. And so then from there, once you had a publishable manuscript, you moved into the publishing boot camp. And there I taught you some skills on how to pitch your novel, how to write a hang up query, and you got some good responses. We have celebrated those. So let's just rehash some of the old manuscripts requests you got, some of the top agents that you were able to talk with because of some communication that I'd had with them. Let's just replay those victories and those celebrations. What were some of those milestones along the way?
Top of my list was Jeff Kleinman, and you met Jeff Kleinman about that time, and you were able to introduce us, and I got a full manuscript request from him. You met someone from Philip Morris, which is would be ideal for me because it would be connect both the script writing and the novel writing. And then I can't even remember because those were the first two, and then I was getting quite a few script requests after that from various agencies. It wasn't that I didn't have it out there, and just like last week, it's not that I didn't have things that had been requested that were out there. I just wasn't sending out any more query alerts. And in fact, just before we went on last week, I said, "Oh, Annalisa, I got another rejection letter." And guess what? It was back from when I queried someone in November. So we're talking 10 months before this guy ever got back to me. It had been 3 or 4 months since I had gotten my last request for a manuscript, and I basically have not sent any queries out since May. So I kind of felt like if anyone really was interested, they would have gotten back sooner. Some displayed, more interest than that, and, actually talked to me for a while. So I had basically decided if they really were interested, they would have contacted me now. So it's really safe for me to say, yes, I'm fully committed to this script. I'm there. This will be my total focus. You've got me. But of course, that's when things happen, right?
Right. So you had some real high quality responses, full manuscript requests, which are rare, also from top literary agents. I mean, you were really flying high in terms of the quality of requests you were getting, the sources of those requests. And, that's not to say that it was all like lollipops and unicorns, right? There was some disappointment along the way.
Oh, lots of rejection letters. Lots of rejection letters. But, in the writing gym, we celebrate the rejection simply because, and this is true with screenwriting too. You don't get those rejections. If they don't want you, they just don't even contact you. And the only reason someone contacts you is the fact that there is something about your query or your writing or something that made them not to lose contact with you totally. We're very big on celebrating those rejections. And so there's been a lot of those rejection celebrations as well as those full manuscript celebrations. Many more rejection.
Right. And so, I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, right? So by joining the writing gym, you accelerated your progress. But that's not to say that there wasn't rejection, that there wasn't disappointment,
Right.
that there weren't lows, because that's part of the process.
It is. And one of the nice things about dealing with the rejection in the writing gym is you're not the only one who's sending out queries. You're not the only one who's going through the process. And when we're all together, and sometimes we've even compared notes, and it is like, is this a form letter or what does this mean? I mean, there was a few times when I had someone so excited about my work. I mean, they just could not stop raving about it. The query, they asked for a partial. I gave them a partial and they were just bowled over, so excited. They asked for a full manuscript. I sent a full manuscript. And then I got this letter that told me I needed to go back to the drawing board and get some instruction on how to write. I'm going, then why were you so excited about the first 5 chapters that you asked for? I read scripts for a producer. Let me tell you what, within the first page or two, you know whether or not someone can write. So I'm sitting there, this is so wrong. But it was really strange. That was one of those things. Okay, am I totally reading this wrong, or is this a form letter? And so by sharing it and by discussing it, we were able to find out. What she did was she decided that she did not want to represent me. And instead of having the personal conversation that she'd been having with me, I just got the form letter. Mm-hmm. It helps when you're able to talk about these things with other people in the writing gym, and maybe they got the very same letter from someone else. And then you go, oh, and you don't take it personally. You realize it's just business. There's nothing personal about it. And quite honestly, if someone's not real excited, you don't want them representing you.
Absolutely. And I remember that conversation with you because it was a bit stupefying to say, wait, why were they so interested and then they weren't? And I would imagine from your perspective, having someone to really talk you through the agentees and to help you to understand what happened,
Yes.
maybe kind of soothe some of that anxiety or whatever feelings were coming up for you during that time.
We work on, and you teach us not to take these things personally, but let's be honest. The initial reaction is very personal, and we have to work through that. So having a group of people, and and sometimes it's a competition, how many people got the most rejection letters today? I mean, but it's a fun way to look at it. So it takes the sting out, and it helps you see that it's not personal, because you know the writing caliber of the other people that you're sharing these rejection letters with, and you love their writing, or what they write. You're laughing, or you're scared, or you're whatever, and they're full of emotion. So their writing is good. So it really, really helps when you know that you're going through this with other people that are very good writers.
So powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So let's fast forward from that moment to the other evening when I tried really hard to stay unplugged outside of my normal business hours. And for whatever reason, I picked up my phone. I had, I don't know, an intuition or something, Jeannie. And there
I was vibing towards you really strongly.
There was a message from you, and you said, can I call you? And I said, yes, spill the beans, because I haven't spilled the beans on that conversation. Why you wanted to chat with me at 9 o'clock on a weeknight?
Because Bob DeFolio contacted me and wanted to represent me. I was just like, what? And it was at night. I was like, okay, I just needed someone to calm me down before I accepted. And the deal was, when I read this letter, I'm going, great. I've already committed to do this movie thing, and I have to give it my all. I'm learning again. I'm in class again. I may be asked me to do something. I may be turning it in and like the content is correct, but I don't have it in the right form, and I'm having to redo everything multiple times. And I'm sitting there going, I absolutely cannot take something that an agent's going to give me and totally rewrite my manuscript, because we all know it doesn't matter how good that manuscript is, that agent's going to want it the way they want it. And I'm going, great, now I get an agent after I've done this, and I'm going to have to turn this guy down, and he is a guy who's been around and knows everybody in the business. So I opened up the edits. He goes, I've, attached your edits. And I open them up, and they're 2 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs. And it's because I used the same word 3 times. One was door, and the other one was frequency. One paragraph I had door 3 times, and one paragraph I had frequency 3 times. And that was it. I just, I had it finished before I signed the contract and turned into it.
And this is amazing, right? So we are absolutely celebrating your being signed by an agent, you're receiving representation for your work, but an additional celebration, right? When we talk about writing your manuscript to publishable, which is a phrase that we use a lot in the writing gym, and people say, well, what does that mean? Or like, how do you know? Well, this is exactly what that means, and what it looks like is that when you get your response from an agent, you have 2 paragraphs in your entire manuscript that you need to change, and it's because you repeated a word, right?
Yes.
Right? And so how does that feel as the author to know, like, I met the standard and it's good to go?
One of the reasons it was so delightful was because I knew I could do both. It was really hard. I mean, we've worked together for a couple of years. I've gone to the retreats. We've done all of these things. I was committed to writing the best novel I could. I put my heart and soul into it. And so it was like it was a dilemma. when I was having to choose about doing the movie thing, but I'm going, that's what I started out doing. The mission statement of this production company is my mission statement. I mean, it's like, I can't turn this down. And so it was really very difficult for me to be able to let go. But when I opened that up and there was 2 paragraphs that needed to be changed before he could go out and shop it, I'm sitting there going, so it's going to take what, 6 months, a year, 2 years, or whatever for him to be able to sell it, which allows me and gives me time to get in and learn what I'm doing with the production company. So I'm like, it was just breathtaking that I was actually going to get to do both, because I never in a million years imagined that I would get to do both. And the only reason was because of all the work we did in the writing gym. And fortunately, he was happy with everything except for those 2 paragraphs. There may be other things, and I know when a publisher comes along, it's going to be rewriting the entire thing again. That's understandable.
Or maybe not. Maybe we're going to be in the same spot, right?
That would be wonderful, but I'm just not. I'm living in reality here and understand that. But I'm hoping by that point in time, when that happens, that I will be where I need to be. And have studied and know what I'm doing on the other. I feel very secure in what I'm doing as far as my novel writing is concerned, because of all the work that we have done. And so whenever I got those 2 paragraphs, like I said, I looked and I'm going, well, there's no other word that's going to work in here than door, and no other word that's going to work in frequency. And so I'm going, so I have to rewrite these to where I'm saying the same thing, but in a different way. And it didn't take me any time at all. The reason being is because you had absolutely taught us how to do that and how to think about that. And so it wasn't this long drawn out process that took me forever to do. Like I said, I emailed him with, after you assured me that my email wasn't, idiotic. And I sent it off. And then the next morning when I got up, I worked on those 2 paragraphs and put together a brand new manuscript with those 2 paragraphs changed in them. He got in contact with me, sent me the contract. I signed the contract and sent him the revised version of the manuscript. And it happened in less than 24 hours.
So one of the things that occurs to me as you're talking about, being able to pursue your Hollywood dream, which was another opportunity that landed on your plate as a result of your writing gym work, and then being able to pursue your traditionally published novel author dream at the same time. One of the phrases that we bat around a lot in the writing gym, over in Write to Publish and Sell Your Novel, on the Writing Gym podcast, is helping people to live the author lifestyle.
Yes.
And what that means for most people is some kind of version of being able to publish time and time again. So in your case, what it meant was that your manuscript was so prepared that it allowed you to simultaneously pursue your Hollywood dream. Last week, we celebrated with Barbara Zito, who also got an agent the manuscript was so polished that she's now writing her 2nd book and, ready to sort of move into the author lifestyle. So talk a little bit about that experience. What is it like to have so much preparation that when things start to happen for you, you can take on multiple projects, you can live that author lifestyle because you're not bogged down in fixing an old project?